All right, so Jacob Castro joined today by Aaron Jeffery. Aaron, how are you doing today, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. So just for the fans who may not know what's going on with you, you are coming off a loss to Caio Borralho on Dana White Contender Series. But as I was telling you a little bit before this, I think you're probably like the best UFC or best fighter not in the UFC right now. Um, you've fought people like Sean Brady early in your career. Another one, Brendan Allen. You know, these are big names, and you've gone on big runs after those losses. Can you tell me a little bit like how losing you can grow from that?
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that too, man. That means a lot for people to tell me that stuff. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. For me, it's not even necessarily the loss that does it for me. It's just it's my life. All I really do is train and fight, and my whole life is dedicated to this. So whether it's after a loss or after a win, that's kind of what I want to do, right? That's the goal of what I'm doing is just string together some wins. So that's always kind of the plan.
Yeah, and I mean, you get finishes too. You don't just like string together wins; you string together finishing streaks. So, you know, how do you get those? Is it? I know it's in your training. You seem like a really disciplined guy. Tell me a little bit about your training and how you seem to get these finishes and how you've gotten this great record so far.
Yeah, I think most of my finishes, I kind of grind guys out and wear on them a little bit until I can feel them breaking, and that's usually when I get the finish. A lot of TK, sorry, a lot of TKO wins. I'm not uh, I'm not really the guy that just kind of like one punches and sleeps people. It's more of like grinding them out, wearing them down, and getting the TKO. And I think that's probably a product of my training too. Like I said, I'm in the gym full time. My whole life is dedicated to this. I'm hours and hours a day in the gym. So I think my cardio is good. I think it fits my style of grinding on guys.
And do you think that comes from like wrestling primarily, just the grind from training a lot of wrestling? Or and also, did you wrestle before you got into MMA?
No, I didn't. I never wrestled before MMA. And actually, probably the first, I don't know, I'm gonna say like the first 5 or 6 years of training martial arts, I didn't do any wrestling either, other than like the jujitsu wrestling, which is um, like anyone that does martial arts and does real wrestling and does jujitsu wrestling. There's quite a big difference there. But yeah, I never did any wrestling for a long time in my career. I was always kind of a grinder, but I think once I did start wrestling, I kind of embraced that lifestyle too. Um, Started going to a lot of wrestling practices and training with high level wrestlers and yeah, kind of grinding it out with them too.
Okay. And like have did that start in your amateur career or when did you kind of pick up the wrestling? Because you said you were doing the jujitsu wrestling. When did you kind of switch over to the hard grind of
Um,
wrestling?
that's a good question. I think you know what, I know when it was because my coach always mentions this. It was after the Sean Brady fight. I had just met my head coach now. He wasn't my coach at the time. His name's Chris Prickett. He was one of the coaches at the university here, the Brock University wrestling team. I had met him shortly after the Sean Brady fight, and he invited me out to the university to train with those guys. So that's when it started.
Okay. And then I actually haven't seen that Sean Brady fight, but
Hmm.
was it like because he's actually a great wrestler himself? Was that kind of what happened? Did you happen to get like out wrestled or anything like that and that pushed you or
No, not even. I don't know if that fight like exists online anywhere. It might be on Fight TV. If you look on Fight TV and try and like go back into the old fights for CFFC, it might be there. I'm not sure. I haven't watched that in ages. But no, it wasn't really that. I think my fight with him was mostly stand up. I think there was some like clinch wrestling on the wall. He got me down once. I remember I popped back up though, but no, it wasn't like a wrestling heavy fight. That just happened to be when I met my coach Prickett, like I said, and we just vibed really well together, and I started training with him a lot.
right on? And so I actually want to get into like how you got your start in MMA as well and what got you into it even to start training in the first place.
Man, nothing really. no exciting story or anything. I have an older brother who's a few years older than me, and he would be watching the UFC events with his buddies and stuff, and I was kind of tagging along and watching the fights, and I enjoyed it. And he wanted to start training just for fun, and I went with him. He didn't stick with it for too long, but I loved it. And then when I moved away for school, I found a better gym and started training there. One day the coach asked me if I wanted to fight, and I had never even considered it, but I said sure. I got my ass kicked in my first fight, but I loved it, and here we are, 10 or 12 years later.
Yeah, you caught the bug after that, it sounds like, huh?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. I guess what gives you the motivation as well? Like, you took that loss. Is it just something about losing? Like, are you addicted to winning in a sense? Or like, because you took the loss, right? And then you got addicted. Were you addicted
Mhm.
before that? Or was it like the loss that got you even like pushed you to the next level in a way?
No, I think that's the reason you do this sport, right? Is to win, and kind of the only way your career progresses is if you're winning. Like now, my goal is to get to one of the big leagues, and that's not going to happen if I keep losing fights, right?
Hmm.
Or if you're an amateur fighter, you want to go pro, it's not going to happen if you keep losing fights. So it's the only way to progress. I mean, unless you're just doing it for fun because you like to get in fist fights and don't plan to make a career out of it, then I guess you can lose all the time. But for most guys, you want to make money, you want to have a name for yourself. Maybe you want to open a gym down the road or whatever it is. You need to win fights to do that. So that's what I want to do.
Yeah. And did you do any like jujitsu or anything? Is that how you got your start in martial arts? Like from the jujitsu and it just progressed, or did you just walk into a striking gym?
No, I came into it like I guess thinking of being an MMA fighter. Not that I ever thought about fighting, but I wanted to train MMA because that's what I was watching on TV. So the first gym I started at was in Tilsonburg, really small town near here. It was like a kickboxing and jujitsu gym, so I did both. And then, like I said, I moved away and found a bigger gym and started there. And it was kickboxing and jujitsu also, and they had MMA classes, so I started doing that too.
Okay. And then that gym you're talking about, is that Syndicate MMA or what bigger gym?
No, no, no. Syndicate's in Vegas, and I'm in Canada. The gym was actually, it was called Modern Vision. It was in a smallish town called Welland, Ontario. But there was actually a bunch of fighters there at the time. They had a bunch of pros and Emmy fighters. Actually, if you guys are like Anthony Romero, you know who that is? He's one of
Yeah,
my
I do.
teammates. He started there too. Vlad Kazbekov is one of the other guys that was there. Crazy Russian guy, one of my good buddies. I don't know. We had like a few MMA fighters there, which was kind of rare for like a small town back in the day. But we all started and kind of came up together, and yeah, that's how I got into it.
Okay. So you got kind of lucky in a sense with that gym, huh?
Dude,
Like
very
meeting
lucky
good
for sure,
fighters.
for
Yeah.
sure, man. There was probably like I don't know, eight or ten fighters at the time, which again is like super rare for I don't know what it was like 10 years ago.
Okay. And so I'm also curious, you're really disciplined. I can tell like you got a great physique as well. Does that come from diet? Where does your discipline come from? And what are you doing on a daily basis to kind of like stay shredded the way you are, not even in training camp or anything?
Well, partly having good genetics. I think that's definitely part of it. I think I can get away with a little bit more than most guys. Like I cheat on my diet too. Like I'm not perfect all the time, but I am pretty dedicated in that way too. Like I'm a nutritionist. That's kind of my side gig. I have my own nutrition clients. I worked in the clinic for a long time. So I'm pretty dialed in on that aspect. And again, just kind of training my ass off all the time, man. I'm in there twice a day, like 3, 4, 5 hours a day. I don't really have like an off season. Maybe I'll take a week or so after a fight, but it's year round for me with training and diet.
Right on. And actually that leads perfectly in my next thing. I'm kind of want to know like what's your could you give me an idea of your kind of a day of training for you, like a little bit of your routine and then like the training regimen as well, just in case you
Mm-hmm.
have one at all?
Yeah, so 2 practices a day. Like our team pro session is in the morning at 11 a.m. That's usually an hour and a half, 2 hour practice. It's usually the hardest one of the day. I come home, eat, probably have a nap, and then I do a nighttime session at 6 or 7 p.m. It's usually a little bit lighter. Maybe it's just like a technical session, wrestling or jits, or maybe like an hour, 75 minutes of pads. And that's pretty consistent Monday through Friday. Saturday is usually sparring. I only do the one session. And then I kind of chill, take Sunday off and get back in the gym Monday morning.
Okay. And then I do kind of like to know a little bit like what's the diet like on a training day? Do you kind of keep it light when you're about to go into training? Do you eat a lot more like, at night when it's all said and done? Just kind of the diet as because you're a nutritionist as well.
I'll try and keep my big meals like 2 hours before training at least. So I train at 11 a.m. I'll wake up at 8-ish and try and get my meal in by 9 or 9:30. And then same thing for the nighttime session. I'll try and eat well, I'll eat a bigger meal after the gym, then I'll like kind of just snack before the gym. And then yeah, kind of like you said, I'll do a lot of my calories later at night when the day's over with and I kind of have a full belly and it helps me sleep too. But dude, I'm very consistent with my diet. It's super boring. People always ask me what I eat, and it's like it's the same thing almost every day. It's like good carbs, like breads, oatmeal, rice, sweet potato, that kind of stuff. Lots of veggies, lots of fruits. I like eggs. I eat a lot of chicken, salmon, red meat a couple times a week. Maybe like some granola bars and shit like that. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, nice. Sounds like just yeah, kind of boring, but probably
Yeah,
repeating a lot, huh? Like eggs in the morning,
exactly.
chicken, and
Eggs,
with your
eggs,
rice and
toast,
stuff.
veggies, full of oatmeal
Yeah,
with some fruit and peanut butter, and it's almost that meal. Sometimes 3 or 4 times a day, you just switch out the eggs for like a meat or a salmon or a beef or something.
yeah, I hear you. I kind of have the same similar diet, so I hear
Yeah,
you. It's also a
it's
lot
easy,
easier, I
man.
feel
When
like.
it's dude, it's so easy. It's consistent. Like my meals take me maybe 20 minutes to make max. I'm not like thinking about what I need. I don't need to go like get different groceries or different recipes and that kind of shit. It's just I know exactly what I'm doing every day and it's easy.
Exactly. Especially like with the carb, you can just make that once and then have it for the rest of the day. So it's nice.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
yeah, I appreciate the time, and I just have a couple more for you. So we did touch on like you go into syndicate, and then
Hmm.
I think I saw a post where it was a good post. You kind of said how you sold out for MMA, and I think you're referring to moving to Vegas for a little bit and
Hmm.
training there.
Hmm.
Kind of talk to me about moving to syndicate, how you kind of came up with that and everything like that.
Yeah, so I went there a couple of years ago. Might have been 3 years ago now, 2.5 years ago, something like that. I just wanted like a trip and go train at a good gym and whatever. And I don't even know how I stumbled across Syndicate, but I did. I went down there. I stayed for a month and I loved it. Made a lot of good friends. Kind of connected with some people. Coach John Wood, he's awesome. And then before this Contender Series fight recently, I had a long training camp ahead of me. They booked my fight like 5 months in advance, which is kind of rare, but I had a ton of time to train, and I figured I'll go get away, train somewhere else, and decided to go back there because I already had the connections. I kind of planned to go down and train and then come back home and finish up camp here, but the COVID stuff made everything difficult for travel. So I just ended up staying and I was there for just about 6 months this summer. It was awesome.
Awesome. And I saw you got some sparring with like Sean Strickland, it looked like.
Yeah.
I saw you like post a couple pictures with Johnny Parsons on your
Hmm.
Instagram. You guys both have the
Hmm.
mullets.
Yeah,
So you made some good friends over there and stuff like that, some good training partners for life, it seems like.
for sure, man. I loved it.
Nice. And so we also talked about um, trying to get into a bigger promotion. First
Hmm.
off, do you have any fights coming up or have you like began looking into that at all?
Nothing looking yet. I've been talking to my manager. We're looking for stuff. It's probably going to be like a regional show or something overseas again. I just need to get back in the win column right now before getting on one of these bigger shows.
Okay. And then, so is the dream still making it to the UFC? Are you looking at other promotions like maybe Bellator or some of the other bigger ones to compete in? Are you keep your options open or are you, kind of set on the UFC?
I would love to be in the UFC, man, but no, whatever's going to pay me good. Um, I'm almost 30 years old. I just had my 29th birthday, so I don't have tons of time left in this, right? So I gotta make some money and maybe make a bit of a name for myself before it's all said and done. So I'm open to anything right now.
Okay. And so that's basically it for me. But one other thing, just like we can end it on this. Did you happen to see that Triad Combat at all this past weekend?
I did. I liked it.
You liked it. I thought I liked it
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. I don't know if
Honestly.
it's like something I'm gonna watch every single weekend and get hyped up for it all the time. But this event was super entertaining, man. I don't know if it's just because like all the fights were like crazy and scrappy and whatever, but no, I thought it was pretty cool. I
Yeah,
don't
I
think the
liked it.
triangle did anything for it. I think they had this idea like you guys would kind of get stuck in the corner and trapped in there, but I don't think the triangle made much of a difference at all.
Yeah, it's like the same as the corners in boxing almost.
Yeah, yeah, that was cool
But
though.
yeah, I thought it evened it out too with the the clinching and stuff, not breaking
Mm-hmm,
him up the second they
mm-hmm,
clinch. It kind of leveled it out a little bit. So I liked it, honestly.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was pretty sick.
I'm also curious to see whether or not it's like a fluke that all the MMA fighters won because they're huge
Yeah,
underdogs going into it. So
yeah, I was surprised. They looked good.
yeah, awesome, man. Well, I appreciate the time and I think it was a good interview. So thanks for chatting with me and agreeing to do
Yeah, man.
this.
Of course, appreciate you having me.
All right. Thank you, Aaron. Have a
Okay,
good one and good luck in the future.
thanks, man. Later, bro.
Thank you, brother.